Okay, we're back for part two of the Candida discussion. So I was talking about elimination and what happens and how you can build up toxins in your tissues in relationship to Candida. Or well, we haven't got the Candida part yet. But you can build up toxins in your tissues. Your liver's toxic; it can't pull them out. Your bowel, your kidneys, they're not being excreted. Your lymphatics become toxic and sluggish because your liver doesn't want the waste because it can't process them. And you might have been exposed to toxins, or you might have been exposed to just bad diet or whatever, or just metabolic waste, but there's a buildup of waste in your body, and because they can't get out, they start to settle into tissues. So they'll settle into a woman's vagina, or they'll settle into the mouth and digestive tract. They'll settle into the hair follicles or on your skin somewhere. They'll show up as these processes of uh, of wastes that are in your system, and of course they're throughout the system internally as well, making other more organs malfunction. And so I started in to tell you that your liver will send a message to your stomach to stop eating because because it needs to catch up, and eating is the biggest labor-intensive job your liver will have to deal with. Okay, and so when your liver gets backed up, it sends a message to your stomach: stop producing stomach acid, stop producing secretions, make that person stop eating. And of course, we're not eating because we're hungry. We're eating because of emotional reasons or all kinds of reasons, to process or to help us de-stress or to help us forget or to help us not feel or to numb us out or just to celebrate or any reason. But we're never eating just because we're hungry. We don't even know what that feels like. Nobody knows what that feels like. People who swear to me they know exactly what it feels like, they wake up with a gnawing hunger. It's not hunger at all. It's allergies, and that's another discussion. But people in this culture do not know what it's like to need to eat because they are hungry. They don't even know what hungry feels like. They think if they have a gnawing in their stomach, it must be hunger. They don't know what hunger is. Okay? Very few people in this culture know what hunger is. Okay? It just is never experienced. All right? So we're not eating because we're hungry. And so when our stomach stops producing digestive secretions, we don't feel like eating. We eat anyway because we feel like eating emotionally. Right? And so we never get the message. We didn't get the memo. We don't until there's acid indigestion and indigestion and digestive difficulty and digestive distress and digestive pain and diarrhea and constipation and irritable bowel, and these the pile just keeps getting higher and higher and higher, and all allergies and all of these issues, and we're just not getting the memo. Stop eating. Or if you're going to eat, eat something very simple and very easy to digest. And so somebody comes out, you finally go in, and you're all piled up with toxins and poisons, and there are all kinds of microorganisms in there eating on those toxins and poisons, because that's what microorganisms do. They feed on toxic tissue. They don't feed on healthy tissue. And so one of the ones that shows up is Candida. And you go in, and because Candida is a buzzword now and nobody can think for themselves, they're just buying what somebody else said, and they don't know how to decide whether that's a natural process or not. They don't know how to judge things based on nature. They're just going off what everybody else has said. So that you go in to see someone, you're like very sick, and this is the 15th person you've seen, and none of the doctors take you seriously. And now you go to a natural healing practitioner, and they go, "Oh, I think you have Candida." Candida? Ooh, what do you do about that? Well, we're going to put you on a diet for Candida. Now, wait a minute. Reverse, rewind. What in the world are you thinking? You really think Candida was the cause of all of that? So, as a solution, you're going to put on a diet for Candida. I see this working not working at all, is what I see. And that's absolutely what happens. Okay? And so Candida's in there, and women have chronic yeast infections, and there's bloat, and there's all this tiredness and exhaustion. Your body's exhausted. Your circulatory system is breaking down. It's full of all this damage because of all these wastes and toxins. The blood chemistry is off, and the stress, and the inflammation from the allergies has done all this damage to your circulatory system. You're starting to get heart disease, and maybe you develop diabetes, or maybe you develop cancer, and all these diseases are coming into existence because you've been building them with all this debris that you couldn't digest and then you couldn't eliminate. And maybe we can give you the benefit of the doubt and say somebody dumped a bucket of toxic waste on you and you got it from your environment. It's certainly possible. It's just not what I see most of the time. Okay, and now you're going to cure this by eating a Candida diet. Doesn't really work for me. That kind of logic is absolutely upside down, and I have no appreciation for it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do instead. How about we do this instead? How about we treat your body like it's sick and toxic and like you built this condition? You didn't know about it. You did the best you could. You may have even done some really smart things along the way. But you also did some really dumb things, and they caught up with you. Bummer. Okay, I'm sorry. It's happened to me too. It happens to everybody. That's the nature of this life. Okay, so let's forget the blame now and let's go to work. But here's how we're going to do it. We're going to simplify your diet. We're going to put you on mostly raw food and very simple meals. 2-3 things at a meal. That's it. Maybe some condiments, but you're going to keep it very, very mild. You're not going to eat any animal products, any breads, sugars, starches. You're going to stick to whole foods. One thing you are going to eat a lot of, though, is fruit. But you're always going to do it on an empty stomach. You're never going to make the fruit ferment and make the problem worse. You're always going to let the fruit digest. And that means you're going to eat it on an empty stomach. Have as much as you want, literally, but just on an empty stomach. And what will happen is that fruit will actually help clean you out. It will produce enzymes. It will break down debris in your system. It will stimulate your liver to actually flow. And it will put zero stress on your digestive tract. It will digest itself. The stuff that goes into your blood when it's digested gets gobbled up and used by your cells within a few minutes. And everything you've ever heard about the sugars in fruit making you acidic or feeding Candida or cancer are false witnesses. Those are lies. Maybe they were just mistakes by the person who told you, but they are lies in general. They are false witnesses. It is not true. The only time you have problems with getting sick from food is when you can't use what is being produced and taken into your blood. As long as it's very usable to you, it's no threat, which makes fruit the best choice you can make. Okay? Because it will be used, but not just used, it will be used the fastest that you can use anything. It will be used almost instantaneously. We've had raging diabetics who've been able to use fruit, and they didn't get a spike and crash. It just gently lowered their blood sugar. Why? Because it's actually usable by the body. The body wants to use it. It's desperate to use it. Now, that doesn't always work exactly like that in every case, and there's a reason we work with diabetics. We don't just tell them to go on a fruit diet, but very often just the raw fruit diet will completely turn them around. They won't have any more problems. The only time they'll have problems is if they try eating fruit as a dessert, because then it ferments. Okay, and the fermentation will cause all kinds of distress. It will cause an allergic reaction, and then you'll get a spike and crash. Okay. The other thing that can happen is if somebody has a raging allergy to a fruit, it can be a problem. So I'm not asking you to turn off your brain, but I am suggesting that perhaps you should think about it in terms of what really happened to make you sick in the first place. Now, I'm running out of time, but I will suffice it to say that in my experience, most of the people, maybe 3/4 of them, that come to me with a Candida diagnosis and they're very sick, actually have allergies. Okay, and so we clean out the liver, because that's the real reason you have allergies, and we clean up the diet very carefully, very low residue food. I don't usually have them do an allergy test anymore. It's not necessary. It's only necessary to remove the allergens that they know about and the things that are high residue foods. So I put them on a very low residue diet, which means raw fruits, raw non-starchy vegetables, and nuts in the form of raw nut butters. Okay, we don't want to take a chance on unbroken down nut pieces going down and irritating the digestion. So we're very careful. We eat a little less. We eat a lot simpler. And at least a couple of nights a week, we just have fruit for dinner. We don't have anything else. At least 2 nights a week. And all the rest of the time we're going to do very simple. We're going to chew better. We're going to relax more when we eat. And we're going to get better. Now, if you have a Candida problem, get that Candida course from matterbliss.com. And then if you still have a problem, you email me and I'll help you directly. Okay? But I don't want to waste my time and your time by trying to spend a lot of time helping you if you don't have the information you need to get the basics. So get that course. Come see me if you still need help. Most of the time you won't. Thanks for joining me.